You've been played. You took the bait.
You only do because God allows it.
The Pope's Exorcist is imagined as a dark, intense, and spiritually charged horror film that blends historical mystery with modern psychological terror. From the earliest conversations surrounding the project, the movie is framed as a serious and grounded take on demonic possession, focusing less on spectacle and more on faith, doubt, and the unseen war between good and evil. Rather than presenting exorcism as a simple ritual, the film explores it as a dangerous, emotionally draining battle that tests belief, endurance, and the limits of the human soul. The overall tone of the movie is heavy and atmospheric, leaning into shadows, silence, and slow-building dread. The story is rooted in the idea that evil does not always announce itself loudly, but instead seeps in quietly, disguising itself as trauma, illness, or madness. The film positions itself as a spiritual thriller as much as a horror experience, inviting the audience to question what is supernatural and what is human fear. This approach gives the movie a sense of realism that makes the horror feel uncomfortably close to real life. At the center of the story is a seasoned priest known for confronting the darkest cases the church has ever faced. He is portrayed as a man of deep faith, but also one burdened by years of witnessing suffering and evil. His character is not fearless. Instead, he is cautious, skeptical, and painfully aware of the cost of confronting demonic forces. This layered portrayal makes him feel human rather than heroic, grounding the supernatural elements in emotional reality. Casting discussions highlight the importance of a commanding lead performance. The actor playing the exorcist is imagined as someone capable of balancing quiet authority with inner conflict. His presence carries weight, and even in moments of silence, his expressions suggest decades of spiritual warfare. Supporting cast members include church officials, medical professionals, and family members of the possessed, each representing different perspectives on faith, science, and fear. The possessed character is not treated as a monster, but as a tragic figure caught in the crossfire of forces beyond their control. Early in the story, their behavior is subtle and ambiguous, leaving room for doubt about whether something supernatural is truly happening. This ambiguity strengthens the tension, as viewers are encouraged to question whether the events are signs of possession or manifestations of psychological trauma. As the story progresses, this uncertainty slowly collapses into undeniable horror. The plot begins with disturbing reports emerging from a remote location involving a child or young person, exhibiting violent and unexplainable behavior. Local authorities and medical experts are unable to provide answers, and the church is reluctantly drawn into the situation. The Vatican assigns the experienced exorcist to investigate, not to immediately perform a ritual, but to determine whether the case truly warrants such extreme measures. Upon arrival, the exorcist encounters resistance from both the local community and skeptical professionals. The family is desperate, torn between hope and fear, while doctors insist on scientific explanations. The film carefully builds tension through conversations and quiet observation, showing the exorcist studying small details, listening closely, and testing the situation rather than rushing into confrontation. This slow pace emphasizes the seriousness of declaring a case as genuine possession. As strange events escalate, the exorcist begins uncovering clues that suggest something ancient and powerful is involved. The film introduces hints of forgotten history, buried sins, and long-suppressed secrets connected to the location. These elements suggest that the demonic presence is not random, but deeply tied to past actions and unresolved guilt. The horror grows not just from possession, but from the weight of history pressing down on the present. The relationship between the exorcist and the possessed becomes a central emotional thread. During moments of clarity, the victim expresses fear, confusion, and shame, revealing the human cost of the ordeal. These scenes are quiet and heartbreaking, reminding the audience that beneath the supernatural chaos is a person suffering. The exorcist's compassion and patience stand in contrast to the violence and cruelty of the demonic force. Midway through the film, the first full confrontation occurs, marking a shift from investigation to open spiritual warfare. The exorcism scenes are portrayed as exhausting and dangerous rather than dramatic or sensational. Prayers are whispered, voices crack, and the room feels heavy with unseen pressure. The demon taunts the exorcist, exposing personal doubts and past failures, turning the ritual into a deeply personal battle. Themes of faith and doubt are woven throughout the story. The exorcist is haunted by memories of previous cases that ended in tragedy, causing him to question whether faith alone is enough. These moments of vulnerability make him a compelling protagonist, as he must confront not only external evil but also his own fear of failure. The film suggests that doubt does not weaken faith, but instead makes it more honest and hard-earned. As the story progresses, the demonic presence grows more aggressive, affecting not just the victim but everyone nearby. Objects move, voices echo, and reality itself seems to bend. The film avoids excessive visual effects, instead relying on sound design, lighting, and performance to create fear. Silence becomes as terrifying as noise, and the sense of danger feels constant and inescapable. The final act of the movie intensifies both emotionally and spiritually. The exorcist realizes that this case is unlike any he has faced before, requiring not just ritual but sacrifice. The confrontation forces him to fully embrace his faith despite uncertainty, accepting that victory may come at a terrible cost. The possessed individual's struggle becomes a shared battle, emphasizing the importance of human connection and compassion in the face of darkness. The climax is imagined as raw and relentless, with the exorcist pushing himself to the brink of physical and spiritual collapse. The demon's defeat is not triumphant or celebratory, but somber and painful. The film makes it clear that confronting evil leaves scars even when good prevails. This grounded resolution sets the movie apart from more conventional possession stories. The ending reflects on the aftermath rather than celebrating survival. The victim begins a slow path toward healing, while the exorcist carries the weight of what he has witnessed. The final moments suggest that evil may be driven away, but never fully erased from the world. Faith is presented not as a shield, but as a responsibility that must be carried every day. Release date discussions imagine the film positioned as a serious horror release aimed at audiences seeking intense, thought-provoking experiences. Rather than appealing to quick scares, the movie is envisioned as one that lingers in the mind, inviting discussion about belief, evil, and the nature of spiritual authority. The timing is imagined to complement darker seasonal releases, enhancing its ominous atmosphere. Trailer information surrounding the Pope's Exorcist is imagined as restrained and unsettling. The preview focuses on whispered prayers, flickering candlelight, and brief flashes of disturbing imagery. Dialogue is minimal, allowing music and ambient sound to carry the tension. The trailers avoid revealing the full scope of the horror, instead teasing the emotional and spiritual conflict at the heart of the story. Visually, the film is imagined with muted tones, heavy shadows, and a realistic aesthetic that avoids stylization. Church interiors, dimly lit rooms, and weathered locations reinforce the sense of age and spiritual weight. The camera work is intimate, often lingering on faces to capture fear, doubt, and determination. Sound design plays a critical role, using low-frequency hums, distant whispers, and sudden silence to build dread. Overall, The Pope's Exorcist is imagined as a powerful and unsettling horror film that treats its subject matter with seriousness and respect. By focusing on character, faith, and psychological tension, the movie aims to deliver a chilling experience that feels grounded and emotionally resonant. The imagined updates and discussions suggest a film that does not rely on easy scares, but instead confronts viewers with the terrifying idea that evil is real, persistent, and deeply personal. If executed as envisioned, The Pope's Exorcist stands as a haunting exploration of belief, sacrifice, and the cost of standing against darkness.